Hello everybody and welcome to another World Cup chat, I guess. We're going to be looking at England's game against Panama, where England, as usual, failed to produce from the potential they have and drew with Panama. No, only joking. That is every other World Cup. This one, we actually did something good. We beat Panama 6-1. Yes, as I'm sure everyone will be saying, it's only Panama. Absolutely. No disrespect to Panama or Panamanian football. It is only Panama. But we did beat them 6-1. I was thinking about this actually in the car on the way home, because the reason why this video has gone up a little bit later is because I was working today. I had to watch the game at work, and I was thinking in the drive home that I was like, the problem with games like this is the more goals you score, the less impressive the result is. So if we'd have scored 7, 8, 9, 10, the game would have been gradually less impressive, because people would have been like, oh well, Panama were worse and worse and worse. The fact about football is this: you can only beat the team that is out in front of you. I was thinking back to the Colombia-Japan match, and people were like, well, you know, Japan, they had 11 against Colombia's 10 for the whole game. But that's not their fault, is it? You know, and in the same way that England won 6-1, it's not their fault that Panama were not very good. And I think even if you are a diehard Panama fan, you're going to turn around and acknowledge the fact that Panama were not very good. And England did exactly what they needed to do. Now, it's not so much the fact that we scored 6 goals or the fact that we've qualified after 2 games or anything like that. It's what's just impressed me is that I feel we've just done exactly what we needed to do. You know, we got the goals against Tunisia to get us through in that game and win it. We got the goals to make this a very comfortable game after about 30 minutes or 40 minutes, and relieve that pressure. And that's where England have failed in the past to do things like that. I've been watching England for a long time. My first World Cup I remember is Italia 90. I don't remember it that well because I was 8 years old at the time, but I do remember things like Euro 96, the last few World Cups, the ones we didn't even get to. I remember them very well, and in every single one of them, apart from Euro 96, I would point out, we have pretty much struggled. And there's so many reasons why and such like, but a lot of the time it's because we just didn't do the things we needed to do. And the positivity now in me is that England they've done exactly what they needed to do in both the games. They found a way to win those games in a style which actually has some sort of like cohesion and focus. Going into this game, I predicted 2-0 because I figured, England, they'll come off the back of that Tunisia win. Maybe Panama will sit really, really deep and defend very doggedly, as they did against Belgium. It took Belgium until the second half to get a goal, and it was a pretty fantastic goal from Dries Mertens as well. And I thought they defended pretty well in that game against Belgium. But Belgium looked very all over the place, really, in that. England just did what they needed to do. They were 5-0 up at half time. It's phenomenal, really, to think about that. First goal, John Stones. Very, very well worked set piece. Again, we saw all sorts of fouls in the area, and that's what they are, fouls. Like it's cheating, outright. I want to talk about that a bit at the end, but we'll concentrate on England for now. John Stones come flying in unmarked, pretty much, smashes the ball in. Great set piece. England have looked so dangerous on set pieces, not just in this game, but Tunisia as well. And, it's a testament, I think, in some ways that those two teams, the only way they could potentially stop our players was to physically hold them down. Then we had the Kane penalty. Well, the first of the two came penalties. Harry Kane, I mean, both of them stonewall penalties. Absolutely no, no thought about that whatsoever. Harry Kane dispatches both those penalties very, very well. I mean, I could talk about Harry Kane for a long time because he reminds me so much of Ronaldo in a lot of ways. There's a lot of ways they're very different, obviously, but in the ways of a guy who seems to really relish being, the leader and the guy people look to for the goals, a guy who loves having the opportunities to score and the confidence of the guy, to come in, and also that ability to just finish really well. And when Ronaldo steps up to a penalty, you think automatically, oh, that's a goal. And Harry Kane, same thing. That isn't always the way with some strikers, to be fair. Lionel Messi, penalties are not his strong point. He's a great player, obviously, but yeah, I think just Kane steps up. I was confident in both his penalties. I was like, this guy's going to score these penalties, not just because Panama's keeper is obviously not the greatest keeper in the world, because sometimes I feel like with penalties, it doesn't matter about the keeper. It's a little bit of luck, no matter what you do. But yeah, I just felt like he was going to score them, and he did, and it was fantastic. Jesse Lingard, I criticised him last game because his finishing was woeful, but he finished with aplomb. Nice, lovely curling shot. I think just outside the area, or at least very close to it. Keeper didn't really stand much of a chance with that. And then John Stones with a very well worked kind of free kick routine. Sterling should probably have scored, and I'll talk about Sterling in a bit, but Stones was there. That now means John Stones has more World Cup goals than Wayne Rooney. Let that sink in. That, I feel, has been the biggest difference for England in this World Cup, is having Harry Kane as a goal scorer. Has he been a little bit lucky with some of these goals? Certainly the last one, yes, absolutely. He didn't know much about that. There was a shot, clipped his heel, it went in. I think I love the phrase, you make your own luck, especially when it comes to a striker, because people can go on about how strikers lucky in the position they're in and things like that, and but part of being a striker is knowing what position to be in. If you're going to to be that sort of penalty box player, you've got to be in that right position at the right time. You've got to learn the game. And one thing I know about Harry Kane is he studies the game. He looks at his game where he can improve a lot. And that's why he's had this meteoric rise, because no one was really talking about him when he was in his teenage years. Sure, he was signed to Spurs. He went out on loan and he didn't do brilliantly on loan, and it took an injury for him to get a chance at Spurs. But when he took it, he grew and he grew, and he is impressed, and he's England's youngest captain, I think, that they've had at a World Cup. And he's looked every inch the captain so far. He's looked like he's wanted to shoulder that responsibility. He's enjoyed it, and he is the guy, I think, the leader who they can look to, and it's just fantastic. I can't really say much more about that. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I don't really know what to say. The only thing I would say is this: I still don't think England are going to win the World Cup. I still don't think this result tells us anything more about England. There were times our defence looked a little shaky. We did concede a goal to Panama. It was actually a really good cross and a good finish, I think. That was their first World Cup goal. They celebrated it like they won the World Cup. Fair play. And it was Felipe Beloy. I remember him from Football Manager. So many times I signed that guy. And he was a decent centre-back as well. But he's like 37, I think. So there are very worrying signs about their defence. But let me ask you this question. Whose defence in this World Cup has looked good? Like, genuinely, has there been a defence for a major team where you've gone, yeah, you know what, that team is absolutely solid? Brazil, I don't feel like they've been tested too much, and when they were by Switzerland, they were a bit shaky. Germany, no, they've looked very, very shaky. Boateng especially. Neuer doesn't quite look the same keeper he has been. Argentina, don't even talk. Like, obviously, their defence is awful. Belgium, on paper, very, very good defence. Again, conceded 2 goals to Tunisia. They've looked a little bit ropey. I don't feel like there's been a defence that has looked the part yet. I also don't feel England have been tested by a big team, and that is why this Belgium game is going to be so, so important. It's brilliant that we've qualified, that we're going into that game, and Belgium as well probably, they're going into that game knowing we don't have to get anything out of this, and we've qualified. And that's brilliant. That's the first time I can remember England doing that in, I don't even know if they've ever done that before. It makes so much difference when you don't have to go into that final game with the pressure of going, we have to get at least a draw. How do we play this game? Do we play it, defensively? Do we go for them? No, we can just turn up and go, we're going to play our game, okay? And Belgium, you come at us with what you've got. And I think it will be a great test for both teams because obviously, Belgium on paper look like a very, very good side, a very special side. They scored 5 goals against Tunisia. England has scored 6 goals against Panama. Both these teams look like they're hitting form right now, and it's going to be a hell of a clash. And I'm so happy that we don't have to get anything out of that game because I'm not sure we will. I don't know. I've spoken before about Belgium. I feel like if you compare them to England, on paper they're far superior. I think they've got more game winners than England have. If you look at, say, we've got Lingard, they've got Hazard. We've got Henderson, they've got De Bruyne. We've got Kane, they've got Lukaku. There's not a lot in Lukaku and Kane, to be completely honest with you. And the other thing I would say about Lukaku is that in a very similar way to Harry Kane, he has taken pretty much every chance he's got. He's on 4 goals in 2 games. Kane's on 5 goals in 2 games. There's not a lot of difference there. Back that up with players like Dries Mertens. Very good defence, very good goalkeeper. It's, on paper, Belgium win that game. As I said, it's not all about what's on paper, obviously. England, they look like a good team. They look like a team which is bonded and are together and want to win this. And that's my thoughts at the beginning of the World Cup, and I think I said this in the video, I'm pretty sure. But my thoughts have always been, all I've wanted from this World Cup was to see some good performances from England. I was never expecting to win, never expecting to pretty much get past the last 16/quarterfinals, really. It didn't matter to me where we finished. What mattered to me was, we got some experience for the young players. We played well. The system looked like it was working, and we got some performances we can be proud of. That is the team giving 100% and going out there, and leave nothing on that pitch, and also to not have any controversy, whether it's a penalty shootout, or whether it's a red card that should have been or shouldn't have been, or whether it's a penalty that was missed, or something like, just nothing like that. Nothing we could look back on and go, oh, if that had been different. Just a case of, what, we weren't the best team in the tournament. We went out there, we gave it our best shot. We came up short, but we'll come back in 4 years' time, better players. And so far, that they've exceeded that expectation from me. And they've looked like they've given 100% out there. They're looking like they're growing and learning as a team. They look like they're together. I think the tactics Gareth Southgate is bringing in are looking very good. They look organised and well. They look like they know what they're doing. I just think there's so many positives to take out of this. So many people I see trying to bring it down. It's okay to enjoy a 6-1 win against Panama, okay? You don't have to preface everything with, but it's Panama, okay? It's you can enjoy this, Same way if in the FA Cup you support one of the big teams in England and they trounce a minnow 6-1 or something like that. It's okay to enjoy that. sure, you're not going to look into it and go, well, we're definitely going to win the league now, but it's okay to turn around and enjoy it, look at the positives from it, enjoy the goals and everything. And we've got 3 days, really, 3-4 days to enjoy that, and I'm going to enjoy it. It's fantastic. Every person I saw today, I talked to about it, we had smiles on our faces as we talked about it. And sure, no one wants to get carried away. I still don't think we're going to win the World Cup, because on paper I don't think we've got enough players who are going to be able to change the game. But what I love is we're playing to our strengths. Those set pieces, keeping the ball, smartly and tidily, and just the players seem to be, there's no one who's letting the country down, put it that way. No one. From a lineup, Gareth Southgate made one change, which was to bring in Loftus-Cheek for Ali. As I said, I personally perhaps would have gone for Rashford over Sterling in this game and seen what he could do, then maybe switch back to Sterling for Belgium. But he wants to give Sterling, I think, some game time and get him used to that role, which is fine. He didn't have a bad game in any way. Sterling, he played the whole match, did pretty well. Pickford, wasn't much he could do for the goal, I don't think, really. I don't think he did too badly. He pulled off, I think there was one good save when Panama kind of got in, but otherwise another game where he didn't really have to do a lot. Walker didn't give away a penalty, so that's good. We're playing Walker in a role which he is not familiar with playing, and we're playing a back three who, to be completely honest with you, a year ago were not the first choice in that back three. It probably would have been, if we had Sam Allardyce as manager still, it probably would have been Cahill and Jones. But he's taken a risk, Southgate, to play ball-playing players in Maguire, Stones and Walker to some extent. And while I think we would be more solid defensively if we played a flat back four with Cahill and Jones, I think from a possession point of view, it's doing us the world of good. And we have to be positive in that way. I've said before about John Stones, I think he could be a Rolls Royce of a player for us. Yes, he's prone to the odd mistake. Yes, Maguire is prone to the odd missed pass. But I think that what they benefit towards the team, and it's difficult for people to see how a ball-playing defender benefits a team. If they don't go on mazy runs and take it past three people running up. But the truth of the matter is that if we had Cahill and Jones at the back, okay, we would not be looking as good as we are right now, because they would not be able to pass the ball out nearly as well. They would be putting themselves under more pressure playing in this system. You would have to play a completely different system, and Southgate doesn't want to play that system. He wants to see England as more progressive, and absolutely fair play to him. It's a great story, by the way, to see Maguire. There was a picture of him, I think it was at the Euros 2 years ago, with his friends. I think he was probably playing for Hull then, maybe. Hadn't had an England cap, and now here he is, a starter, for the first two games for England in the World Cup. And he took another picture with his mates who were in the crowd. It was fantastic to see, it really is. And sometimes you forget that, this is a dream come true for all these players here. People talk about money all the time with footballers. When you get to this point and it's a World Cup, the money has absolutely nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing to do with it. This is about representing your country and going to a World Cup and living that dream that we all have when we're kids and when we grow up as well, of scoring that winning goal in the World Cup final, or getting England through. And I guarantee every single one of these players would play for free. They don't, but I guarantee they would. So yeah, it's not about that, and it's great to see something like that with Maguire. Henderson had a pretty good game, playing that kind of what they call quarterback role. I'm sure he's going to play against Belgium. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring in Dyer as well, possibly in the Loftus-Cheek role, or possibly even for Lingard. It's a tricky one, because I think Gareth Southgate wants to be positive, but I also think he needs to accept sometimes that England are not favourites for that Belgium game, whereas we have been for the Panama and Tunisia game. So we'll see what happens there. Loftus-Cheek, I thought, had a solid game. I didn't think he did quite as much, but I thought he was solid. And Lingard had a good game. Certainly Lingard was much, much more improved than he was in the first game, and he did well. Again, Trippier didn't have as good a game, I don't think, but it wasn't that he had a bad game. I think he took a knock and was subbed off, and I thought it was interesting they brought on Rose instead of Alexander-Arnold. Rose being a left-footed and left-sided primarily, wing back, left back, whatever you want to call it, whereas Alexander-Arnold is very much on the right. So I thought that was quite interesting that they did. I was thinking a few reasons why I thought they could do that, or why he did that, was perhaps because he is thinking perhaps about using Rose, because I don't think Young's impressed that much. I don't think he's a bad player. I don't think he's played badly, but I don't think he's impressed that much. So I think he might be thinking about using Rose and wanting to give him a little bit of game time. The only other, or he just thought that, because, and I don't think it's true, but maybe he just thought that Alexander-Arnold, is, he wanted to maybe see the game out a bit and didn't want to bring on somebody for their kind of, not debut, but I think it would only be his second or third game for England, and have that kind of thing on him. But it's not, there's never going to be an easier game to bring a player into than against Panama, is there? That we're going to have this World Cup. So, and I think Alexander-Arnold, having played in a Champions League final, is, has got an old head on those shoulders. So I don't think that's perhaps one of the reasons. So the only reason I can think is that he just thought he wanted to give Rose some game time, which I don't know. We'll see. Sterling had an okay game. I was surprised he didn't bring on Rashford. Again, I think he wanted to give some game time to Vardy, and I think maybe the Trippier injury caught him off guard a little bit. Maybe he was going to bring on Rashford for Sterling at some point, but then he couldn't. And he brought Lingard off and brought on Delph as well. He did fine. Delph did fine. Delph's a really solid player. I think he's a really good player to have as a sub. Yes, and I think he definitely wanted to bring off Kane. I thought he might have brought on Rashford with him, but again, maybe he wants to get some game time for Vardy, because Vardy could be very, very useful against the likes of Belgium or other bigger teams we're going to play, where perhaps we have to go to a more counter-attacking style, or perhaps we're just forced to go counter-attacking. And Vardy, we all know his ability to kind of get in behind and get a goal like that is legendary almost. So perhaps that's going to be interesting. So yeah, that it was a great performance, absolutely great performance. Don't get carried away. It's okay to enjoy that performance, and it's okay to sing football coming home, and it's okay to do anything, because none of that's going to make a blind bit of difference, is it, at the end of the day? England are going to go out there and they're going to play in the way they're going to play. 58% possession, 12 attempts to their 8. We scored 6. Just can't ask for more than that. I can't wait to see this Belgium game. I think it's going to be fascinating. I really, really do think it's going to be fascinating. To see how we line up, how we play, whether or not Gareth Southgate is going to change the system. As I said, maybe bring in Dyer and Henderson and shore up that midfield in a slightly more defensive way. Or whether or not he's going to be like, nope, we're going to go with this team and we're going to go for it. And Belgium better be ready for us. It could be interesting, because things like that, they can backfire and they can work. We could come out of that Belgium win with Belgium match with a convincing win. We could come out of it with our arses whooped. Who knows? We still don't know who our last 16 potential is going to be. There's some people are saying that it would be better to finish second in the group than it would be to win the group. I don't agree with that personally. No matter who you play, I think winning a group, and by winning the group we would pretty much have to beat Belgium, and I think that confidence and that mentality would be way better for us than being like, we lost against Belgium, but hey, we got second place, so we're going to avoid Brazil/Germany. At the minute, I don't see a huge amount in Brazil or Germany that should actually scare England, to be completely honest with you, or Belgium, for that matter. I think England are playing better than both those teams. I'm not saying they're a better team. I'm not saying their players are better. They're not. What I'm saying is that at the minute, England, I believe, are looking a more complete and together side than, the likes of Brazil and Germany. And despite that, late Kroos goal, which I'm sure will spur Germany on. I was gutted when that went in. But I'm sure that when we get the time, all I want to see is us put in that good performance. And good performance doesn't mean you win. Like, you can lose a match and put in a good performance and just be like, you know what, the other team was just better than us. So, fair play. Harry Kane's on 5 goals now. He's only played 2 games. It's kind of phenomenal. Some of them were lucky, yeah, absolutely. That is probably going to be the worst looking hat-trick you'll ever see in a World Cup. 2 penalties and one off the shin, or one off the heel, sorry. But you can't really argue with that. It's just the way it is, and we should definitely enjoy that. It was excellent. Going back to some of the matches since the last time we spoke, where did we get up to? I think I spoke about Belgium-Tunisia last time. Belgium looking good, but some question marks without a doubt. Mexico beat the Korean Republic, so they're on 6 points. Germany, oh my God, Germany. It was a great goal by Sweden, by the way. Absolutely fantastic. Only bettered by Tony bloody Kroos coming through and slamming in a fantastic, I don't know if you can class it as a free kick, because it was a set piece, shall we say. Slamming it in there, and fair play to Germany. They came through, not dissimilar, I guess, to England against Tunisia in some ways late on, and that should give them confidence. I think going into their game against Korean Republic, they should win that, I think. And unless, I think Sweden, let me work this out. So Sweden beat Korea. Let's go to no, I can work this out from here. So Sweden beat Korea, so they're on 3 points. Germany are on 3 points as well. Germany played Korea, Sweden played Mexico. Mexico are on 6, they're already through, no matter what happens. I think so anyway. Yeah, because Germany drew. So if Germany win, they'll be on... No, Germany lost, sorry. It's confusing. If Germany win against Korea, they'll be on 6. If Sweden beat Mexico, they'll be on 6, and Mexico will be on 6. So there's still an opportunity that Germany don't qualify. I can't see them not being in Korea, but then again, we'll see. I think probably what will happen is they'll beat Korea and Mexico will beat Sweden, and Germany will go through as second place. That probably will mean they'll play Brazil in the last 16, because Brazil will probably win their group anyway. They play Serbia, so it would be a difficult game, but you would expect them to beat Serbia. But then again, you'd expect Switzerland to beat Costa Rica, so it could be an interesting game. We'll see. Fantastic goal by Tony Kroos. I mean, God damn it. The only reason I don't have anything massively against Germany other than the kind of football rivalry, but England always go out to bloody Germany. So to see them go out in the group stage would have been fantastic, I think. But hey. Japan drew with Senegal, came back from behind twice. That puts both of them on 4 points. Colombia beat Poland quite comfortably. That puts them on 3 points. Next up is going to be Colombia, Senegal, Japan, Poland. Japan could top that group. That's crazy. We've got 4 games tomorrow, 4 games Tuesday, 4 games Wednesday, because they play them at the same time with the group finishers. England play again on Thursday against Belgium. Strange that Group H plays before Group G. If they do that all the way through, that's interesting. Apart from Group A. Yeah, anyway. So some interesting games coming up. I'll do like another video on like maybe Wednesday, looking forward to England's game. And talking about all these other games we had, there's a lot of them. But, overall, obviously just a fantastic performance from England. We're going in the right direction. That's all we can ask for. Does anybody, if you said to me at the beginning of this tournament, look, you're going to beat Tunisia 2-1, you're going to beat Panama 6-1, I would have bitten your arm off for that. Absolutely bitten your arm off. That's as many goals we scored, I think it was, as the last World Cup and last Euros combined. So, it's good. It's really good. And we can enjoy that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You don't have to keep saying, but it's Panama or but it's Tunisia. You can enjoy it, trust me. As an England fan, we've often struggled against some of the poorer teams. So when we, convincingly beat one at a World Cup, that's pretty good. And who knows what's going to happen? Who knows? I still feel like, unfortunately, Belgium could be the favourites now. I don't know on paper who the favourites are. I imagine it's probably still Brazil. But I could see Belgium being right up there. It's fascinating. This World Cup's been brilliant. It has been absolutely fantastic. We haven't had a 0-0 in any game so far. We've had some very cagey affairs. We've had a lot of 1-0s perhaps, but entertainment-wise, it's been brilliant, tactically brilliant. And the one thing I feel that's let it down, as I said, I'll talk about at the beginning, is the cheating, the rampant cheating that's gone on. There's no other word for it. You can turn around and go like, oh, Panama and Tunisia, well, they have to, play like that, in terms of holding the player in the penalty area because they're not as good. Well, here's an idea. Actually try to defend properly, and if it doesn't go well, learn from it and build and get better. Don't be like, well, I'm just going to have to hold this player because I can't do anything else. It's ridiculous. And then we see blatant play acting from the likes of Pepe, and I know people expect that from Pepe, but we've seen it from others as well, where they get the merest of knocks and they go down like there's a sniper up on row Z, or a team constantly. So many times I've seen it where a player's down injured and that player's team goes on an attack, and then the attack peters out, the other team get the ball, and then they want them to kick it out of play, and it's like, you could have just kicked it out of play yourselves and you chose not to. It's literally cheating. It's ridiculous. It's really frustrated me, to be honest with you, and I think it's I hope we don't see more of it in the latter stages. I understand maybe in the group phases we're going to see it, and I think sometimes maybe I'm a bit maybe I'm lucky, because in the Premier League we don't see as much of that. Yeah, we see the odd dive and we call people out on it and stuff like that. We've seen a lot of diving as well, in this World Cup. A lot of people trying to get players sent off. I saw the Panamanian manager waving his hand with a card, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? There's cameras everywhere. Why are you trying to do this? This is not sportsmanship. This is what this game should be about, sportsmanship. And people, I don't know, I don't want my team to win games like that at all. I would feel ashamed if England played like that. For the most part, I think we've been okay. I would feel very ashamed, thinking back to other World Cups with Suarez handling on the line to stop his team and going through instead of Ghana, and it's despicable play. It really is. Football, I know football's never been the gentleman's sport, the same way some other sports are or claim to be, but I just think on a world stage like this, people should just be trying to be a little bit better. And it's really frustrating to watch games, because we talk about VAR, and one of the things people say about VAR is, it's going to slow the game down. Those breaks where he's got to check the VAR, it's going to slow it down. No, you know what slows the game down is a player going down faking injury every 5 minutes because he wants to disrupt the rhythm of the opponent, because they might be trying to hang on for a draw or something like that. It's that is literally what is slowing the game down and ruining the game. And I think the referees have been terrible in this World Cup for not picking up on a lot of that stuff. The holding in the areas, the blatant play acting, feigning injuries. there has to be more punishment for players just to stop this and eradicate it, because it feels like a disease that's getting worse and worse, because, other teams, will see players doing that and they'll be like, oh, well, if they can get away with it, we can get away with it. And, it just becomes ridiculous, really. So I hope they can eradicate it. For me, that is literally the only blot on this World Cup. It's been fantastic. It's been one of the best I remember as a whole. We've got a fascinating time. There's no outstanding team, I don't think, going through at all. There's question marks about every single team in this tournament and what they can do. In the past, we've seen the likes of Spain come in and dominate, or France come in and dominate, or Brazil come in and dominate, or Germany especially come in and dominate, and you're just like, oh, there's no weakness in this team. They're just going to run it, and a lot of the time they have. But this time we're like, yeah, every single team has looked a little bit vulnerable, whether it's in attack or in defence, and the end of this group stages, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of shocks, plenty of shocks. Let's not forget, if Iran beat Portugal, they go through. It's crazy. Spain could still go out. I think Uruguay are through, to be fair. Argentina, we could be seeing Argentina go out the group stages. Germany probably won't win their group. Brazil, technically, I think, could still go out. I think if Serbia beat them and Switzerland beat Costa Rica, Switzerland win the group, Serbia comes second. I think that's the way it works. Interesting days. I hope you guys will be there to enjoy it all. I definitely will be. Let me know what you think, what you've enjoyed. And whatever happens for the rest of this World Cup, we'll always have beaten Panama 6-1. I remember back in Euro 96 when we beat Holland 4-1. It was probably the greatest England game I've ever seen, with the exception of when we beat Germany in that qualifier. And those games, I think, will always be remembered probably more fondly because of the quality of the opposition. But this being at the World Cup is something pretty special, I think. So yeah, enjoy. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.